Time to get here, do you want to go ahead and start with four here? Four is required, correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. Four is a quorum.
Yeah, Tim said he was coming.
It's up to you. Or we can start with some of the simple stuff, maybe it shows up.
If there's only one simple thing. All right. Is the recording ready?
We're good.
Okay. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and call to order this special meeting of the Red Oak Economic Development Corporation. Today is Thursday, February the 16th of 2023. The time is 7 p.m. There's a quorum present at the moment. Myself, Greg Bennett, Jack Edwards, and Karen Stanfield are in attendance. And I declare that notices were posted legally according to the Texas Government Code Open Meetings Act. So, at this point, we're going to go into our new business, and the first item is just item A is to consider approval of the minutes of the Red Oak Economic Development Corporation special meeting held on April 11th of 2022, the minutes of November 8th of 2022, and the minutes of December 6th of 2022. So, does anyone have any issues with any of those minutes? And if not, then I need a motion to approve the three aforementioned minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Jack. Need a second? Second? Second by Greg. So all those in favor, Karen, Jack, and Greg, myself, aye. That's 4-0. That motion carries. So I'll read this in. Item B, consider adopting a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Westfall Engineering, PLLC, engineering to coordinate, prepare a flood study, a grading plan, and a floodplain reclamation, approving an expenditure of funds in an amount not to exceed $33,000, and authorizing the president to execute all necessary documents on behalf of ROEDC. So before we go into that, item C is it directly related?
No.
Okay, sorry. So, Todd, if you would go ahead and speak to this one.
So this one is the property we just bought from the Cassiopeia deal, and it actually goes further south. It's the entire 7 point whatever acres. Part of that is developable as it is today, but a good portion of it is in the floodplain and unusable. So we've talked with Ben Hartman and Michael Westfall. Ben Hartman's our own staff engineer. And we feel like we can get some of that floodplain property reclaimed and be able to utilize it for development purposes. And then obviously we know we're going to have some floodplain that we would probably want to put back into parks and rec and that type of thing. But being able to get some more of that frontage property out and usable would require going through the FEMA process, and that is what the $33,000 is for. Westfall to do the study on that, determine how much we can get it out, and help us step through the process to get it reclaimed. So, we recommend approval because we only have so much limited highway space, and we want to utilize as much as we can.
What do we consider the cost benefit on the $33,000 in terms of the increase in value of the?
Well, you don't know because you don't know exactly how much you're going to get out of it. But if you get it out, if you get out an acre, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, 8 times your money.
Yeah. So we're looking at considerable area of reclamation.
Potentially. Probably, just guessing what they say, Lee, an acre or 2 maybe.
The cost to reclaim it too.
Well, yeah, which we won't know until we.
In addition, the trail plan, we think we're looking at the trail being then on reclaimed area, or would it remain down, would it be in the floodplain?
Probably it would still be within floodplain area, because
Okay.
the reclaimed area is probably a little bit further south. A little of it might be reclaimed in that one red area, but probably not much.
So a lot of the reclamation you're talking about is actually below the box,
Right.
down behind the dam space,
Mm-hmm.
down,
Right on the front.
down to the creek?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of, okay.
Yeah, the idea is you wanna capture and reclaim as much frontage,
Got it.
linear feet as you can.
Do we,
And
are we
if you can get
looking
some
at,
depth, that's good too, but you really wanna get that frontage.
you think we're looking at any, in reclamation there in the bulge on the red to have a wider access or space, right there where the billboard is? Are we looking at that area, mostly it's just the south?
Well, they're looking at all of it, but my guess is you're not gonna get a whole lot out of that bulge area, because that's where the dam shuts out,
Mm-hmm.
and that is kind of a boggy spot already anyway. You might get a little bit, but I'm guessing not a lot. But if you could connect that to something wider on the south side of it, then now you've got something where you could come in off of a drive that comes right in to where the bulge is at, and you go north to one lot and south to another lot,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Does the EDC or the city own the property on the south side of that pond?
Mhm. Well, just basically where the red is, it just kind of extends down. It doesn't come all the way over to the west.
Okay.
The space there to the west, right behind the, ponds, a lot of that is really
Yeah, it's,
unusable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been back in
it's
there
bad.
before, and it is just ravine.
Okay.
So, can you pull up the, CAD? Where you can kind of, yeah, there you go. So the thinner tree area,
That part over there is, it's not bad, it's just the stuff directly south of the creek that's,
yeah, right in here is
you go up, and it stays that way all the way down to the big
all the way
creek.
down here.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is some of this stuff through here.
So you might still be able to get something where the cursor is right now that kind of looks over the pond.
Maybe a little, maybe
Okay.
a little.
would be nice for that Mexican restaurant.
Mhm.
Okay, so is there anything else about that? Neat.
That's it for now.
All right, what do you guys think? Discussion?
Who owns
Good.
the rest of that property?
Red Oak Creekside Development.
Anything, Greg? I think it's fine. Jack? Okay, if there's no further discussion, then I would entertain a motion.
Here's Tim.
Hey.
Okay. Hey, Tim.
Sorry, everyone.
It's all right, you're here in time to vote.
Here.
Okay.
Oh,
What's his name?
no. So what we just went through is, actually, in that developable area, the red floodplain part, but, and the Cassiopeia property, we bought further south all the way down to where the creek goes under the freeway. And so we're talking about getting Westfall to, we're spending $33,000 to get a full study on the reclaimable space, what it would take to reclaim, how much we could reclaim into developable space. Most of which would be, just south of where the bottom of the box is right now and in that area, you know, where it falls off back there.
Mm-hmm.
So, the request here is to spend $33,000 to just get the plan, to do it. And, from what Todd says, they're thinking, the engineers are thinking maybe we could get 1 to 2 acres of reclaimed space down there, which would more than justify this. Of course, it doesn't include, we don't have any idea what the cost to do the reclamation would be yet. But, you know, it's $33,000 to get some answers to all those things.
We need to know what we got there.
Yeah, so at this point, discussion has been pretty much positive, and I was just about to ask for a vote. You got anything else or any questions?
Nope, I won't hold us up anymore. Thank you.
Okay, and I would,
For the
note for the record that Vice President Tim Lightfoot is now in attendance. Okay, so, again, I would entertain a motion to approve, where's the resolution number? All right, well, to approve a resolution approving professional services agreement with Westfall Engineering, as stated in the agenda. Is there a resolution number? Is there a resolution number to this?
No, we don't have a resolution number. It'd just be the resolution.
Okay.
To do it.
To do that.
Yep, okay.
So moved.
Moved by Tim,
Second.
second by Greg, all those in favor, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm an aye, makes 5, that passes unanimously. So now,
There you go. 23001R.
oh, there it is, so that was, is that
23.
correct, can I read that in? Resolution number was 23-001R, that we just approved. So item number C is conduct a public hearing and consider adopting a resolution approving a professional services agreement with engineer for the development of a preliminary design concept for a future 6-lane urban roadway extension from 2377, FM 2377 from east of Shirley Lane at FM 2377 intersection to west of Stevenson Road at I-35 intersection, approving an expenditure of funds not to exceed $78,000, authorizing its president to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the Red Oak Economic Development Corporation and provide an effective date. Do you mind if I go?
Well, let me start out with this right here.
Yep.
So that we know the numbers we're talking about, and then we can go through that. So we got 2 proposals, one from Kimley Horn, which we utilize quite a bit, and another one from HDR Engineering, who has a good bit of experience in doing this type of work here in Red Oak, and they're pretty similar. So if you want to lead us in, Alan.
You have a map, very broad map.
Yeah.
And can you get a whole lot broader? Like head all the way over to, open it all the way up to, 45? So, this is the long-range thinking that we've been working towards, or attempting to make possible. 2377, cut off by 983. About to have 664 come over this way and tie, that'll tie 983 in with the good connection to 45 now. So all that's going to, transportation-wise, open up all this direction. What's missing for us all through the southern, North Mills County is good east-west connections. I mean, that gets completely lost down in this area and makes this poorly developable, because it will develop, but what will develop will not be optimal because there's not good transportation to it. So in terms of ideas of how we could create this for ourselves with TxDOT's help, the idea has been, here's 2377 coming across, and then it does the big turn and just ties into 342 and dies there and plays into this mess. Over here is Stevenson Road on this side that travels through considerably. The idea has been, if you bring us back down here, that the road, as it goes straight this way, this would still be there, But this road would continue here, across this. This is the 20 acres that we own as park space. Go across here and across the backside of the golf course property, tie into an overpass at Stevenson, and then have Stevenson expand, tie into everything that's gonna be happening over here. So, and then pull it back once more to where we were. We'll see the whole thing again. In the long run, the idea is you have an intersection, an interchange on 45, right here already at, what's the name of the road?
Paul Lowry?
Oh, no.
Trimble?
No,
It's in Trumbull, but it's that guy's name, what's his name? Reisinger.
right, yeah.
Reisinger Road, there's already this intersection on it. If you come here and you go here, then you tie east-west all the way from Stevenson across down here, all the way to intersection 45. So, does this seem like pie in the sky? Maybe, but so is everything else we've tried and started and putting things together to try to make it happen in the long run. What we're trying to do here is to begin the process of taking an idea from something that has more, substance to it, to be able to go and work with TxDOT on in the longer run. Because we don't really want to have to build like roads like this ourselves. We want this to be TxDOT's 2377 and this project to be TxDOT's 2377 across, right? But you can't just go to them and say, I got an idea, with nothing else. So the idea is to get some basic engineering done and something on paper, the same as we needed to with 664 in the first place. But we got TxDOT to do that preliminary engineering, but frankly, a lot of it happened here with Todd and I and others and their engineers in this room to get that laid out. So we don't really have that in to get them to do the very preliminary work. So it's kind of up to us to get some things on paper and to create at least how this connection would work. In the longer run, you try to make some of this happen. As we get to a point where development's pushing more this way, and it's gonna push this way, but we're gonna push it this way. Our IDC has already bought a lot of this property out here. As a matter of fact, the meeting at 6 o'clock, we just approved closing on another 128 acres of it. So this area out through here is gonna be a big emphasis for us in terms of what's going in terms of large installations for the city. And, that's gonna continue to push us down to this area, which is our ETJ. And this is gonna be critical to making this area work. That's the idea.
So now let me bring it home to why we're asking you, because you're looking at all that, and that's just city. Why isn't the city doing this as opposed to EDC being asked to do this? And with the EDC, that's important, all this stuff out here, but what is really driving for economic development as far as EDC goes is if we can get access through here, now we have good retail frontage all along 2377 as well. Now, you're not gonna get a whole lot of retail right through this area, because a whole lot of that may be ended up being aerial crossing. Because you're gonna have to bridge across 342, you're probably not gonna have time to get back down before you go back over the railroad track, and then you're not gonna have time to get back down before you go over the creek, so you're probably not gonna get back down until you're in here, tie back in. But that does start to open up more frontage along 35 on both sides, as well as being able to generate more traffic on 2377 to drive the customers to this area, as opposed to just relying on 35 for retail and restaurant traffic.
Yes, sir. And this comes this way, The cross is here.
Okay, let me get,
We're gonna be creating 1, 2, 3 corners anyway that are
right.
retail. And at some point, I'm just surprised we can figure out how we're talking in here about owning this. So that when we create this, then we can make this happen. Click me the right link. You got the right link.
Bob, are you clicking on the economic development meeting?
Okay, what else you wanna?
Well, I was gonna say, I think before it goes to TxDOT, I would also do that expenditure to say, to finish that eastern section too.
EDC or IDC?
Because that's, it seems like that's a lot more engineering here than it is going eastward from the dead end, the T of 2377 into 936. What is that? It goes to Paris.
983.
983.
Yeah.
My computer. So go ahead and start having that preliminary, so you have that full picture, so TxDOT can look at that whole thing.
That's,
And part of the reason that we're looking at this section is COG has already somewhat studied this section. And they looked at this way back in 2002, did some traffic count generation maps, and they felt like this may be an area that they wanted to try to do something with. But we can't get it back in front of them without having something to show.
Sure.
the dead end
Yeah.
come out and say, join the meeting or.
I don't have a number for what it's gonna take to go
Uh,
further to the east, we can get that. But I think we can make that two separate
Yeah,
pieces.
sure.
Assuming, whichever one we decide, whether it's HDR or Kimley Horn, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So then have them generate us a second
Proposal.
proposal for the eastern section.
Um,
And that might work better for TxDOT and RTC anyway, because that kind of falls into how they might pay something.
it's kind of in the politics of how they operate. On the one hand, for instance, when we were trying to get 664 done in sections, they made it clear that we couldn't just leave the middle of Red Oak out because it would not then be a contiguous project.
Mm-hmm.
And they only work in terms of funding contiguous projects. So there may be a point in time where the best way to approach it is to actually try to do the eastern part as well as a contiguous project. Or we may find that, no, guess what, we have the funding and we'll do this western part now, in which case we take the bird in hand. And that drives up traffic towards the other project. It's just, right now, we have a few things going for us. One, there's the fact that they've already kind of looked at it. Two is the fact that this is a project of the size that we can at least, this is a small expenditure for very basic and rudimentary kind of engineering, just to have something to show them. I don't think we'd really want to try to spend the money for the whole thing all the way across out of EDC right now.
Well, and my other question for that is, do we do it all the way across at all, or do we just kind of show some lines on the map, because none of that's in Red Oak or it's ETJ,
Which,
this stuff out here.
that over there isn't, but starting at Palmyra is. From there to that road, Palmyra.
From here, it is, but then once you get out here, it's not.
That's correct.
Well, help them, guide them.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It may be a more detailed study here,
Mhm.
and it may be somewhat of a study, okay, you need to expand 2377 6 lanes, and you need to do a little bit of detail through here, and then it's a line on a map.
That's right.
Okay. And the third piece of why this is more advantageous at the moment is, that when you going to them and saying, yes, here's the project, and we own considerable portions of the right-of-way necessary, right? So, for instance, we already have the parkland, that's ours. If we end up, perhaps owning this piece, then we have most of what they need to get through there. You're not coming in open-handed saying, could you please do everything for us? So, that's why this piece is more immediate to us, and all that's being asked at the moment by the,
Right.
by staff. So, discussion. Jack?
No question.
Do we need to do public hearing?
We do.
You wanna do that before discussion, or?
Okay, sure. All right, with that all out there, and that, explanation already on record, then we'll conduct a public hearing. I will open the public hearing now. The time is 7:26. I would ask anyone, I see,
Not yet.
I would say, I would ask anyone here who'd like to speak for, against, otherwise, the proposition here, or anyone who is online. Have anyone online?
No.
With no one online, seeing no one here going once, plus any non-member who wants to speak about it. All right. Seeing no one here to comment.
We'll wait 12 more seconds.
Yes,
Okay.
he was on council with me. I never closed on the same minute that I opened it. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Tim,
Second.
second by Jack. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That passes unanimously. The public hearing is closed at 7:27 p.m. Any more discussion? Guys? What do you think?
It's gonna need it needs another crossing, that, and I'm sure years and years before TxDOT would actually doing this, I'm sure it's a process, so.
It's a process, so you have to convince them to do it, and then know that it's gonna take years to get to the point of them actually taking the steps to do it. But if you don't start
Yeah, so I was gonna say they're.
5 or 10 years before, you won't live to see it happen, even though it might.
I think we need to get on it.
Okay, anybody else, or are we ready for a motion?
Well, I think part of what you need to decide who you want to do.
Oh,
Yeah, we have two
we
bids.
have bids in front of us? Well, just, what's staff's recommendation? Y'all work with engineers all the time, what do you,
I think either one is fine. We work with Kimley Horn a lot. HDR is the one that did all the stuff for 664. But the guy who was our personal contact at HDR no longer is with us.
yeah.
So,
That's not his question as much as which one of those are better, tuned into TxDOT to get it back into TxDOT. That might be HDR.
I think either one of them. TxDOT works with both of them a lot.
Well, I don't think anybody on the board is gonna really have the expertise here, so.
I'm gonna jump out and just say, let's go with the cheaper one, because both of them are gonna have plenty of experience and qualifications.
Well, that's justifiable.
And experience with TxDOT.
So you and our engineers then will be just as comfortable working with
Yep.
Kimley Horn as with HDR. Therefore, we may as well go with the lower bid.
Right.
Anybody?
I completely agree.
In agreement.
We still gotta do the not to exceed 78,000. Wouldn't hurt anything to do it that way, I guess.
Yeah, or do not to exceed 80,000, and then you got a round number.
So is this, in this resolution, do we need to put a name in here where it just says engineer? Is that the idea?
I would, yeah, engineering firm, Kim Horn and Associates.
Okay, I'll read this then.
And this is, 23-002R.
When I point it to you, say that.
Okay.
Okay, I would consider, a motion to approve resolution number,
23-002R.
Approving a professional services agreement with, Kimley Horn and Associates for the development of a preliminary design concept for a future six-lane urban roadway extension of 2377 as described in item C of our agenda,
Not to exceed $80,000.
not to exceed $78,000. Good notes.
Todd suggested.
You're gonna make me read this whole thing.
No,
aren't you?
Todd suggested 80,000, just to be sure we were covered.
Watch this.
You don't have to do it, we got it in there.
I would consider a motion to adopt a resolution number,
23-002R.
Adopting a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates for the development of a preliminary design concept for a future six-lane urban roadway extension of FM 2377 from east of Shirley Lane, 2377 intersection to west of Stevenson at I-35, approving expenditure of funds not to exceed $80,000, and authorizing the president to execute all necessary documents, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Tim, second by Greg. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, item D. Discussion and possible action concerning a resolution approving an expenditure in the amount of $12,600 for an annual subscription, amendment to order form with Placer AI for location analytics software, and authorizing the president to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the REDC and providing effective date.
This is the demographic analysis software that we did after we went to ICSC last year. We use it constantly, and it generates a lot of info. So just for reference, this is the one where they do cell phone tracking with GPS. So anybody that goes into Brookshire's, for example, and they have any of the apps on their phone that allows tracking, it picks all of them up, learns where they're from, and generates the trade market area and spits out the population demographic for that entire area. So this is the one that EDC funds. We also have CoStar that IDC funds, and it has a lot of information too, but it's a little bit different. And part of the thing with CoStar, it's still very useful, but it is not as up-to-date information necessarily, because a lot of that is driven by brokers and developers and so forth. What we have found is that if you're up in Plano and McKinney and, you know, the inner cities, it is on the money, spot on, because all those guys are using it day in and day out. When you get out here, you've got some of them use it, some of them don't. So it's still good, but it's not as accurate as it is up in actual DFW. But we talked with their customer service folks today. They are putting their research team to work directly in Red Oak and Ellis County to try to improve that on the CoStar side.
That's a CoStar IDC.
That's a CoStar IDC
Okay.
side. But this one, I mean, we use this weekly, all the time. We actually had them to be able to set us up where we can have Jason Quanch and Catalyst tie into it, because what he'll do is he'll draw a lot of that information, put it with a lot of the information that he already generates, so that now we have even more data to send out to them than we had in the first place. So staff recommends approval. It has been extremely helpful for us. Lee, you want to add anything?
No, we use it, as Todd said, we use it all the time. We've got 3 or 4 major retail, prospect restaurants, and grocers that we have sent information to just in the last week. It's incredibly beneficial. It pairs well with CoStar too. So.
Okay. I've got nothing on this.
It's a small dollar amount. If it's useful at all, it's worth.
What was the rate last year?
Thanks.
Discussion?
Are they gonna do 5% increases every year, or?
I don't know, I didn't ask.
Are you seeing that 5% increase?
I think it increased to,
From
12,600.
12,600.
Yeah.
This year
I get
was a factor.
called by them all the time, wanting me to buy their service, and I just,
Yeah. I was just curious if that's what they expressed to you.
It's probably to the police station or something.
Been inflation.
Is this the one that does the articles, or is that CoStar that?
That's CoStar.
Okay. I remember seeing both of them, I just can't keep straight in my mind which one was which, so.
That one's CoStar.
Lee just used it for a nice restaurant just yesterday or today. So, which qualifies for us.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? Do you have a resolution number?
003
Okay,
R.
I would entertain a motion to adopt resolution number
23-003 R.
approving expenditure in the amount of $12,600 for an annual subscription amendment to order form, Replacer AI, for location analytics software, and authorizing the president to execute all necessary documents, providing effective date.
Moved.
Moved by Tim,
I'll second.
second by Karen. All those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, passes unanimously. And we're on to E, discussion and possible action concerning attendance at the ICSC Global Retail Estate Convention to be held May 21st through, I believe that date should be 23rd, 2023.
Yeah, 23rd.
So that's just, Scrivener's okay, whatever.
As long as you state it.
Yeah, okay. So Todd, Lee,
So this, same thing we've done for the last 23 years, or 20 years, with the exception of COVID.
so,
And I don't, Lee, you want to pull it down a little bit where you can see the cost? So 3,200 a person includes the airfare, hotel, registration, and, meal. So we're talking about Mayor, Alan, Tim, me and Lee, and I think, weren't you going?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen.
I'll let you forget.
Just FYI, I'm not confirmed yet, but
Yeah, I haven't confirmed yet.
tried to.
yeah.
Or Alan.
Well, the issue for me is, without going into it, we're having to rebid our whole schedule for the year, starting with the schedule on May 1st. So I won't know for a couple of weeks even what my schedule's gonna be then, and once I get it, then I'll have to try to massage it to make this work, but I will be trying to go.
Different reason, but same outcome for me. I'll know a little later, but I'll be trying to go.
And where are we, just curious on, I guess it's preliminary, it's February to be talking about preparations, and we're gonna need to be seen, so.
Yeah.
And is, Catalyst gonna be there, obviously? Okay. Okay, so, my only comment, having been there most of the times for the last good while, I've just seen too many contacts. We've made too many contacts. We've got stuff here in town that came directly from, I've never stopped talking about the hotel that's been up there. We're all trying to talk to Chick-fil-A, to get them in, and I think we made that deal sitting at the table at the convention, trying to get them in here, but you can't have too many people. It was the end of the day. Normally we split up, But at the end of the day, we'd all come back together, and we couldn't overwhelm Chick-fil-A with all of us there. So Tim wandered off to booth close by, talked to them that whole time. They were hotel, right? So as soon as we got done, he said, "Come over here. We got to talk to them." We talked to them, and then the result, a number of years later, is the hotel that's up there on 35. That's really all it takes to me to prove the value of going out there. But the other thing that really happens out there is, if you tried to meet with all the people that we can meet with out there in 3 days in Dallas, you'd be working months here and there trying to set up meetings and all over the place. You go out there and we meet with them, and then an hour later we meet with them, and then an hour later we meet with them, and come away with a whole lot of progress generally. So, and it's changed radically from when we were walking around just cold calling, trying to get anybody to listen to us at all about where Red Texas was, to where, for the most part, Todd and Lee and Jason have us set with specific, we're not cold calling hardly anybody anymore. It's all set, talking specific retailers that already have an interest in. When we're talking, it's already about more specifics than just about generality of where Red Oak is. So, valuable time. So what motion do we need? Any discussion from anybody? We can pass here.
So I guess it'd be a motion to approve, expenses of $3,200, per person to send Mayor Mark Stanfield, EDC member Karen Stanfield, President Alan Hughley, Vice President Tim Blackfoot, Todd Fuller, and Lee McCleary to the SCSC conference in May.
So moved.
Second. Moved, Tim, second by Greg. All those in favor? That's unanimous. 5-0. Okay, what do we have in, any executive? Can't remember.
Yeah, Bob wants to be.
Okay, all right, then, now the time is 7:42. We're gonna go into executive session under section 551.071, Texas Government Code. Reserve the right to adjourn an executive session anytime during the course of the meeting to seek advice from the city attorney about any matters listed on the agenda and discuss, deliberate, offer a financial or incentive for business prospects. So we're gonna be under 551.071 and 551.072, deliberations regarding purchase, exchange, lease, or real property. We're going there now at, what'd I say, 7:42?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Mr. Hughley, how are you?
I'm good. How you been?
Good.
Okay, Todd.
You get it done?
Yeah, I think you got it.
They win.